Hey, good morning.
Good afternoon.
And good evening.
And good night.
And Juan Ep back.
Juan Ep is back, baby.
We are back in full effect.
And our full effect is only half-ass.
Yeah. Our full effect is really half effect. But we have all of that.
Yeah, we got all of the half.
Now, we're about to get to our guest, D Nice.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
Boogie Down Productions.
A lot of shit to say before we
All
get
right,
to that.
go. Well, then I'm saying start because we got to maximize the time with it.
All right, here we go. Oh, damn, what's the kid's name? What's Run the Jewels DJ?
Trackstar.
Trackstar. Thank you for hooking me up with tickets, even though I'm not going to be able to use them. But shout out to Trackstar. Shout out to Keller from Monster Energy was here for the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival.
Okay.
And he's going down to your thing, Peter Palooza.
Okay, yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Peter, by the way, DC, I need DC.
Come on in, D.
D Nice, come here and have a seat, please.
What's
yeah,
up,
and
bro?
DC, I really need you to stand up for me and
Yeah.
come through. I think
Yes.
some people are confused about what Peter Palooza is. It's a concert.
Right.
So it's not anything
Is
weird.
this your first DC one?
Yes.
That's why.
So my ticket started a little slow,
Nah, it's
considering
gonna
it's
pick
a
up.
Joey Badass concert, but I don't think they know it's a Joey Badass concert.
What do they think you're gonna like speak?
I don't know.
Like
They
a
think
TED
it's
talk?
yeah, I
like
think
a
they
Peter talk?
Maybe they think it's a TED talk, and they're like, I just want to see a Joey Badass concert. So, but yes, thank you, and shout out to it's fueled by Monster Energy. So thank you for saying
yeah. And then I want to shout
that. You
out.
have a whole list of shout outs. You
I
have
got
like
a couple
Drake,
shout-outs.
You have a cell phone full of shout outs.
You know why? Because I listen to a lot of other podcasts lately, and they get all their shout outs in, and it helps. And we never do it.
People like shout outs.
We the originators.
Yeah, you're
not
right.
even for shouting out people, but for getting some shit done.
Well said. Okay, go ahead.
Real quick. Shout out to you ever heard this podcast? This kid Jared Freed.
No. Is he tight?
Damn it! I forgot the name of his podcast. I was on it last week. I feel so.
I
bad
saw
now.
I saw your post.
Yeah,
You said it. He said
J Train,
and you said you loved
yo,
it.
my man, that kid is fire, yo. He never did radio before. See, that's the thing. Like we what is it? Lay back on our heels or laurels. What's the term?
Rest on your laurels.
There it is. Rest on our laurels of being radio personalities, and then this podcast is kind of like secondary.
Right.
When we first started it. Now it's obviously way more popular. But this kid never did radio. He kills it, yo. Great podcast. So check out J Train.
Okay.
He's bigging you up a lot, bigging me up a lot. And then I'll do some more shout outs later. Shout out to J Lo. Shout out to my sister J Lo.
Oh, your sister J.
Birthday party this week.
And by the way, when is
Birthday
she
party?
No, when is she doing the podcast?
Yeah, well, she's in Vegas. She has
We'll go. I'll do
monthly.
it. No problem. I'll come to Vegas. What's up?
Let's get to our guests.
All right. Hey, you have a microphone. You see the on button to your right there?
Right here.
There you go.
Hey, it's Derek D. Nice Jones.
Jones.
What's
Don't
up?
forget the Jones, man.
How are you, D.
I'm
Nice?
fantastic, bro.
I'm so glad this finally happened.
Yeah.
I know, man.
You had to squeeze us. You have to understand when you have 17 DJ gigs a week.
Yeah.
And I know what it's like. 'cause
And
I-
photography shit.
Yeah. And those gigs. So I know what it's like too. It's tough because I have one DJ gig maybe a month or a quarter.
Right.
So I know what it's like to try to squeeze things in
Tough,
time wise.
man, with that one gig.
You know what I'm saying?
Tough.
It's just well because I'm thinking about it when I'm not working.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That makes it hard. So let's just give people a taste of this real quick because we will get to DJing, but obviously the rap story will be a big part of what we do. So I do want to start here though. Just tell us about your week this week. What do you have this week? We're doing this on a Tuesday. What did your yesterday look like? Take us through it.
So my yesterday was actually pretty cool. I didn't work. I had a huge event over the weekend.
What was that? What was the huge?
Yeah, start go back to the
Power
weekend.
Power season premiere.
Of course.
I not only DJ the party, but Stars allowed me to actually throw the event myself.
And you're a big fan.
And I'm a big fan of the show, so it was awesome. I had the lead characters out. They all came out to support, people from Stars, and then Busta and some other friends, and it's just a fantastic event. And it was good for me for my evolution, as DJs and as artists. I'm always looking for that next thing,
To put
keep this
things
going.
on.
Absolutely.
So you've never really been much of a promoter. You're
No.
a DJ for hire much more than anything else.
Yeah, much more. I didn't have the time to do it, but this year I'm kind of focusing on that.
Doing
Good
more
for
of
you.
your own parties.
Yeah, and then on top of it, like even more festival work. I've been working with Live Nation, trying to develop a concept for a pretty cool tour, more smaller venues like Irving and the Fillmores.
But why not? I mean, you've been one of the it DJs for a long time.
Yeah.
Why not get into that space also?
And that's where I'm going. And I'm trying to find a cool way to do it where it combines, who I am originally and who I've become now. Old school hip hop, of course, but most of my
You want to do your
events.
verse from Self-Destruction, don't you?
Yeah, all day.
I knew it.
But it's just I kind of have these like really cool opportunities. I mean, similar to what you guys are doing in your space.
Oh,
putting your
wait a
own events
minute.
on.
What's I?
It's time to put something in the universe.
All right, I love
If
the
you
universe.
ever need some DJs who are just trying to DJ right now, me and Rosenberg play some records. So
Classic
you want to
hip-hop.
hire? I mean, it's in the universe now.
Ciph, it's
No,
out
let's do
there.
it.
And
That's
they
the
all-
only way it could get done if it gets put into
Well,
the
I will
universe.
say, brand-wise, it could make sense. A D-Nice promoted party with Juan Epstein DJing could make sense.
That could actually be pretty
That
hot.
could be pretty hot.
So put that in your little
Actually, that is hot, man.
Yeah,
You gotta
see?
figure that one
See,
out.
Ciph, look at the universe already working.
universe. Some people call it God.
But see,
I
that's
call it
like the
universe.
whole point, like to have like the Juan Epstein team and to have the originals and to have to just combine people that just love music, and it doesn't matter.
The originals is popping, by the way. You guys,
Yeah, we have fun with that.
how many
man.
do you guys do a year? And it's you, Stretch, Rich Medina,
Tony
Tony
Touch,
Touch.
Tony
and
Touch,
Clark Kent.
and Clark Kent.
And we
Yeah, that's cool.
we do roughly around 10 of them a year. But yeah, it's a fun party, and we play 20-minute sets, so you're never stale. It's like you just keep the energy
More
up.
than one though.
No, more than one. We rotate.
But you keep
all night.
rotating every
Oh, that's
20 minutes.
dope.
Every
Rotating.
20 minutes.
Oh
we-
wow,
That's
rotating.
fun. Siph, you know what I think we should do?
That's cool.
They have the originals.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. They're not the originals. They came along like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
I think you and I should go find the originals. I mean the cats who were DJing like 1973.
Yeah.
So bring out these cats who are like 65 years old. The guys who used to carry
See
their
if you can
records.
get a crowd for that.
And bring out
I don't.
Little Benny. We
No.
bring out little Benny Bop.
No, I got a better idea.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, because I'm being selfish.
All right.
Let's do the biters, and let's you and me get like three. Let's get Bobito. Let's get Rich Nice.
That would actually be funny.
The new Jacks.
The new Jacks.
We just
Who's
jacked
that?
this whole
Wait,
thing.
is Rich DJ now?
I don't know. I'm just looking at like
Oh, okay,
Clark's.
okay.
Like we can't get Bobito because I'm Bobito. You're Stretch.
Right. Well, the
Oh,
fake
but-
versions of everyone.
Yeah, get the fake versions. Wait, you're Stretch. Who would I be?
Why am I? Oh, because I'm white.
Yeah,
I'm
and the
Stretch.
originators. Oh, I'm Tony Touch.
Tony
You're
Touch.
Tony
I'm
Touch.
Tony Touch.
Yeah, of course.
Tony
Right?
Touch,
And then let's get like
Rich Nice and what?
no, not Rich. He's gone now. Clark Kent.
You took him out.
Yeah.
So who's the Clark Kent one?
I don't know. Maybe. All right, we'll figure it
All
out.
right, we'll work on this.
The biters.
We'll work on this soon. All right, so we didn't even
biters.
finish your week. So you had the Power event over the weekend.
Yeah, the Power event, and then during the day, man, I'm pretty much running my company. I own my own management, agency, and this is pretty much what I've been doing for like the last 8 years. Every client calls me, and now I'm at the point where I'm starting to like.
But is it just
Bring on.
yourself?
It's me, and I work with. I haven't signed anyone.
Right.
What I enjoy doing is just kind of like helping other DJs out.
Yeah.
So not that Clark Kent needs work, but hey, I'll get extra gigs, and it's
Right.
like, hey, Clark, here's a situation, or
Right,
I got
right,
my
right.
other guy, B-Hen. I got a few people where I always like try to make sure that they they get a
Well,
lot of work.
my now number one goal is to get on that list. I mean,
Well, absolutely.
He's probably going to bother you.
I'm
Saif,
down
you
with
gotta
that.
no,
give-
well, I
give
don't
him
bother
3
people.
days.
That's my problem.
Okay.
I'm learning from let's say like a DJ Khaled, who I've been hearing stories about lately, that will show up to your house.
Wait, but I thought you know Khaled's stories. Why wouldn't you? You didn't expect this yourself? Like you don't know that of him?
Just for some reason, last week I got an abundance of Khaled stories
What
on
do
how
you
he
mean
gets
he'll show
shit
up to-
done. Like he wants something.
Oh,
he'll keep calling and calling and calling and call your assistant and call your attorney and show up
Is
at
that
your
really
house.
true?
Yes.
All right, so we should call Khaled right now.
Nothing wrong with that.
We should call Khaled right now.
He's not gonna answer.
But I texted him this week and I said, "What are we doing? When are we doing Juan Ep?" He's in New York.
Okay.
I said,
What'd he
"When
say?
are we doing?" He didn't
Did he
respond.
answer? Oh,
no.
that's weird.
So don't you think we should just keep banging out? When
Keep calling.
when we finish up with D Nice, we're gonna call Khaled.
Okay.
And then we may call him again. Anyways, so
I love the business of DJing as well, man.
Really?
As much as I love the music. So I started my company Brand Nice around 7 years ago, and I was doing work with Rock Nation. And one of the things that Jay said to me was, I want you to come over with us because you're so connected. So my whole thing was just to bring new deals and new opportunities to rock.
It's great.
And then I just decided to continue doing it myself, man, with my own company. And I, worked out my deal with Leica and with Hennessy. And I just kept it going, man. So it's
good. It's good stuff, man.
But you didn't finish the rest of the week though. I want to hear what the gigs are because I know last week you had Fashion Week stuff, right?
Yeah, last week I had Fashion Week and Essence Festival.
Of course.
And, BT Awards before
Of
that.
course.
This week is just chilled. I'm actually just off until.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a low key week.
Good
After
for you.
Sunday, I'm relaxing until I have a huge week next week. for the Democratic National Convention.
Of course.
So yeah, I have I have 7 events down there, including events.
How did you get into that space?
Yeah,
how did you become the guy who gets like the call for a lot of the big political stuff, a lot of the big Hollywood stuff? Like you came along out of nowhere, relatively, to us, right? To the people who had just been like other DJs who've always heard of D-Nice, and then one day it's like, oh no, D-Nice, he does fucking everything.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So when I came back to the scene as a DJ, this was roughly around 10 years ago. It was the most difficult time ever because no one wanted to rock with me, no one in the hip hop space, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I went to a few of our DJs, asked if I can open, and they wouldn't let me rock. So I went the white boy rock and roll route, like I went to a club that was here in New York called Vizcaya. And they put me on. I was doing a weekly there, and I was playing open format when it wasn't really open format. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those
you were just playing weird shit, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing,
shit.
Psycho Killer, you know what I mean, like those types of records, and mixing it in with like hip hop. And I would do small hip hop sets, and then I would also go to there was another place called Ohm. I would do back to back with another DJ where he would play all house and I would play hip hop. And then one day I was like, what am I doing? I can just play EDM myself, And I went that route, and I haven't looked back since, man. So,
what year are we talking about?
Man, this was like 2005, 2006 when it really started to pop off. I became a big event DJ because of Kid Rock. I signed him to his deal at Jive. When I returned as a DJ,
what do you mean?
Oh,
you were A&R?
Jesus.
No, I got him his deal.
Oh,
how'd you do that?
I took the demo there.
Kid Rock.
For Kid Rock. Yeah.
You know how bad I want Kid Rock?
Yeah.
I want Epstein too, so you can help us with that, you're saying?
Yeah, that's
what
my
you're
guy.
saying. We already asked him for 3 favors.
I didn't know,
30
so
seconds.
you helped get him a deal.
Yeah, I mean,
as a fan, like
just as he
you
used
met
to come
him
out
at,
to the shows, and
right.
then I produced like 3 songs on his very first album when he was with Jive. I wrote 2 of them. So
a lot of people don't know this. D-Nice wrote a Picture with Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, right.
Not many people.
I wish that was the
I think that's a cover. I think Picture's
but yeah, but he was he is the sole reason how I got into big event DJing.
Okay.
Wow.
Because he was hosting the Super Bowl in Detroit.
Of course.
Here we go.
God bless the dead. AM was alive at the time, and Sports Illustrated wanted AM, but he was loyal to his boy. He was like, yo, you should go and check out D-Nice. And they came, heard me. I used to rock Kane every Tuesday.
Who was loyal to who's
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock was loyal to me.
Okay.
They wanted AM.
They wanted AM.
I got you.
Kid Rock was loyal to me.
So you should get D-Nice.
And he's like, yo, you should go check out my boy. You should get D-Nice.
Right.
Check him out. And then they ended up hiring me.
I love those stories, man, because they're so few and far between. Like, you looked out for somebody, and they looked back out.
Absolutely.
Man.
It is not common.
I have a lot of situations where I look out for somebody and get shitted on the back end, and it's really starting to bother me, man. And usually I'm like, fuck it, whatever.
It's added up, though. You're
starting to really bother me.
You're at a breaking point.
I'm about to break bad.
You really are. But I'm glad that you did notice that at some point, you can't be overly nice. I have this conversation with Ebro every day. Ebro is nice to people sometimes who not only will not help him out, are kind of shitting on him.
Yeah.
And will bite him. And I always try to tell him, Ebro's so big and Ebro-y that he doesn't worry about it. And I'm like, yo, Ebro, I'm cutting shit off. Like, I'm not going to make a whole big thing about it. But like this week, I had a thing where I went on the radio, Ebro brought up Joe Budden. I was like, I'm not fucking with Joe Budden anymore. He was like, why is that? I'm like, because he dissed Juan Epstein on his podcast. I put out his fucking podcast.
Right.
And you diss my podcast?
Yeah, how does that happen? How does that happen?
And I was like, I don't hate you. I don't wish ill for Joe. I don't think he's a horrible human being. I'm just not fucking with you.
But how can you do that? How do you have the right sense in your brain to do that?
Well, I'm just telling you, all you can do is decide when you're no longer going to give to people who won't give back.
How do you know that from the beginning?
You don't. The problem is if you're a nice person, you don't know until they fucking burn you once. And then you're like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
that's so crazy, yo.
And maybe people don't realize when they do it, right? Like, I know, like, for in Joe's case, Joe's a good human being. I don't think he's meaning to be a dickwad, but he is. Yeah. And it's happened repeatedly. And I was like, you know what? This has now happened 3 times. I emailed him once and was like, hey, really don't like when you go on the Breakfast Club, treat them like saints after they talk shit about you and accuse you of beating women. I invite you to my home, start your podcast, and when you come on, you sun me the entire show. I was like, I really don't like that. He's like, I didn't know how you felt. I didn't know that you felt that way.
Okay.
My bad. I was like, I appreciate that. We move forward. 3 weeks later, whatever it is, a month later, yo, Juan Epstein's over. No one listens to that shit.
Ugh.
I could still delete every podcast you have. I have the fucking login. Why am I that big? I don't understand. So my point is, so I told Ebro, like, he brought up.
He went like the IT route.
I know. Exactly.
I know. He didn't say he's gonna go fight him. He's like,
I will delete your shit. I almost sent him a note. Actually, I didn't feel like it, I'm not gonna do it anyway. I almost sent him a note like, "Yo, can you change your login? Because like I don't even want to know it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it." But I should.
I don't want to have that. It's like having a loaded gun in the house.
I know, I'm not going to do it. Anyways, right. But yeah, that's something to work on, Cipha. That's a great story. Right, and it's funny because Kid Rock is someone who I really want to interview one day. I talked to Questlove about it recently because, what blew my mind with Kid Rock was when I saw him at fucking Jazz Fest a few years ago. And I always knew about his hip-hop pedigree, but I'm a little too young to remember that time, like pre him being Kid Rock when he was that dude in Detroit. And in the middle of his country set with like 30,000 mostly white people just being like, rock on, Kid Rock, he gets up and does the full DJ battle set. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, I fuck with this guy. He's hip-hop to the core. Like, I love dudes like that. When
I used to go to MTV with Flex, when he did whatever that show was, I forget. And we used to, in the summertime, we went to the beach house. You ever seen that picture with me, Nas, Jermaine Dupri? It's like I look super skinny.
Yes,
it's from
like all the old pictures.
MTV Beach House. Over the summer, we used to go there. And one day they're like, "Oh, this guy's gonna DJ." And it's this white kid, and it was fucking Kid Rock. Like nobody knew who he was. He wasn't famous or anything. Later on, we look back at the video and be like, "Oh, that's Kid Rock." Yeah. He was DJing at the MTV crib, like.
What an interesting career, man. That's why I want to talk to him the most. Just the career's crazy.
Fuck him. D Nice is here.
That's a good point. And as we say that we want to have you on at the same time, Kid Rock, fuck you. We got to talk about D Nice right now. So D, let's start from let's obviously you don't have all day, but I want to start at the beginning and get the D Nice story. Where does the D Nice rap, the hip hop love story begin?
The love of hip hop started out in 1985. I was turning 15 years old. And DJ Scott LaRock worked at this men's shelter in the Bronx. KRS actually lived there, and my cousin was a security guard there. So I was going to visit my cousin, and then he introduced me to Scott. That's literally how.
Scott LaRock is how old?
Scott LaRock at the time was probably around 24, 25.
Okay, and KRS
KRS was
19 or something?
Like 19.
Okay.
So Scott was like 23, 24.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great time, though, Great time, and clearly, I did the BDP thing.
Wait, so you're just visiting, real quick, you're just visiting, and they're both staying there?
No, Scott LaRock
was
Scott works there, and KRS is visiting.
KRS was living
there at the time.
Yeah, he was homeless at the time, and he lived there.
And what was Scott's job?
He was a social worker.
He was an actual social worker? He
was an actual social worker, yeah.
But was also DJing on the side?
Was DJing at night, yeah. And producing.
No, back then it was only DJing on the side.
That's it.
There was no
such thing. Right. He wasn't a pro DJ.
No.
Pro hip hop DJ in 1985.
You had a job and you DJed at night
for fun.
Yeah.
And you were already into hip hop.
I was into hip hop from a young age anyway, but I wasn't into like what they were doing. I was into I was a big LL Cool J fan, and Pebbly Pooh, like all of the old school.
You just referenced.
I don't even know that name.
What's Pebbly Pooh?
Pebbly Pooh was a female rapper back in the day.
From where?
From the Bronx.
From the Bronx,
Like she rolled with that whole crew, Funky 4 plus one more. Like they were all out at the same time.
Right.
So I used to listen to all of those records. I mean, all those tapes. Busy Bee and just going by the laundromats and buying tapes and listening to them. I also grew up with Greg Nice. Greg Nice is a childhood friend of mine. We both lived in the same neighborhood in the Bronx, right off of College Avenue.
That moment.
Yep, didn't know that.
Yeah, that's my dude, man. That dude from.
He's the best.
Where in the Bronx did you grow up?
Like I grew up by Yankee Stadium, but there was a period of time where I lived off on College Avenue, like near Finley Avenue.
Okay.
In the Bronx, like right off 167th Street. So I've known Greg, man, since I was probably like 14.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So how quickly do you bond with Scott LaRock?
Immediately. When my cousin introduced me to Scott, Scott's thing was, yo, you're gonna be in our group. I had no demo. I had never written a rap. He was just like, you're gonna be in our group. You're gonna be the LL Cool J of our group. So that always caused a little friction with KRS and I. Because Chris was like, well, who the fuck is this dude?
Yeah.
Why are you putting him in the group?
Right.
you know, Scott had his plan, you know what I mean? So that was always like one of the things that caused like a little rift between Chris and I.
And was Scott just like a cool motherfucker?
He was a cool motherfucker, man.
That's
But
just,
so
yeah.
the group is BDP.
The group was
It's
BDP
already
at the time.
formed.
Yes.
Chris and Scott have already discussed doing this
Yes.
group
Yes.
of BDP.
But no records were done
Okay.
under BDP. It was really just the name of the production company, and then
Right.
Scott just kept it as the group.
Right.
But yeah, there was no. There was. I mean, because I was in the studio with South Bronx. I helped with that record. Yeah. So there was no BDP. They were actually in another group called 1242 or something like that. And then they started.
Yeah, I have. They put out a record though, right?
Yeah.
One time this guy came into Fat Beats, and he had those records, and Eclipse was like, "Oh, yeah, you want to sell us those records? Yeah, cool, whatever. Yeah, we'll take them." And then the guy leaves, and he's like, "Do you know what the fuck this is? Do you know what this is?" And he's
First KRS joint.
Wow.
It was before BDP or whatever it
Yep,
is.
it was
I got
before
2 of
BDP.
them.
So Boogie Down Productions, what productions were they doing? Or were they just literally just trying to work on producing
Just
things?
trying to work on producing records for Chris and that group, and you know.
What was KRS like when he wasn't famous? You know what I'm saying? Because he's such a huge personality, but ever since we've known what he's like, he's KRS. So when you see him there posting up, talking, dropping knowledge, he's always been the teacher. He's But what was he just like as a homeless
kid?
As a homeless kid eating ham sandwiches, where he wasn't as preachy as he is now. Like, I respect the new KRS, but I'm a fan of the old KRS. You know, like I liked when we all used to hang out and do shows and really didn't give a fuck. Like
But you were 15.
I was 15,
16,
turning 16.
Going to the clubs with them and everything?
Yeah, I was going. Yeah, I was in all of it.
Everything.
Because I was a part of the group.
What were you in the group?
I was the beatbox.
Oh, the human TR-808.
Yeah, so that's
Duh. The fuck is wrong with me?
the human what? Oh,
The human
TR-808 drum machine.
808,
So I was the
808.
beatbox of the group. So like on the Pussy is Free record, that's me on there beatboxing.
Scott was the DJ.
Scott was the DJ and
KRS was the
MC.
and you were the and beatboxer.
Yep. So
By the way,
Anyone else in the group?
no, that was it at the time.
Steve.
Well, Steve.
You
What
know-
happened to Steve?
Well, it was everyone. It was D-Nice.
Steve left.
Scott LaRock and Steve. So did you come to the situation as a good beatboxer, or they're like, we're just going to find something for you to do?
No, I came into the situation where what Scott said to me, and this is pretty much why my life is the way it is right now. I wanted to rap. I wasn't a great rapper. I'd never written a lyric at all, you know, but I knew that I wanted to be in this hip hop thing. And you know, Scott was always like, look, you need to learn how to rap, learn how to write rhymes, you need to learn how to produce, you need to learn how to beatbox. And what he said to me was like, if anything were to happen to any of us, your job would be to take over. I mean, that's pretty much what he said to me. Like, if something were to happen to Chris, then you would become the MC. If something were to happen to me.
Just be the backup. Be on the bench for everything.
Yeah,
Learn how to do
absolutely.
everything.
But yeah, just know how to do everything. And so, you know, I was in the studio working on, you know, South Bronx and the PS3 first 2 singles. Chris wasn't even there when we did the beat for South Bronx, but you know, it was like Scott did the bulk of it, but I was still learning how to do beats. And so on that first album, that's all I worked on. And then I left the group because I wanted to be hustler in the streets. And Scott was, you know, he was like, yo, dude, if that's what you want to do, you can't be down with the group. So on the first 2 singles, you see my name on it, from South Bronx and Bridges Over. And Criminal Minded came out. There was no D-Nice on there. And that was really it. Like, my ego was like, fuck that. You're not my father. I need to do my own thing. Fuck this shit. I'm going back to the streets. So, but he was a good dude, man. He always... That's why I'm really focused right now, man, because it's, you know.
So why'd you think that, though? What you were you frustrated? Were you...
No, it wasn't about the group at all.
You just
It
were
was
being
about-
a douchebag? You were just like, I just want to get some quick money?
No, it wasn't about being a douchebag. I can't let you say that. No.
I'm just saying, I mean...
No. You got to understand, like, music wasn't it. The hustler
At the
dudes
time,
in the
like
street,
seeing
yeah.
what it could be.
No.
What could you have visualized it becoming? Like, there wasn't a lot to base it on.
No, it wasn't a lot to base it on. And, you know, the artists that were doing it, the Run DMCs, they were so far ahead of all of us that we were really we're just making records. We didn't know where this thing was going to go. And the thing about me being in the streets, it wasn't like, hey, I wanted to be this big drug dealer. I actually wanted to be an attorney. But I lived with my cousin, and I slept in the living room most of my life. So there were opportunities to be out in the street to make money to feed my family. I mean, we literally used to eat eggs every night for dinner while the music was going on, like while we were making music. So I didn't know where this was going to go, but I knew that I didn't have a job. Chris lived in the shelter. You know,
Yeah, the guy you're looking up to.
The guy
is
who's
homeless.
He's homeless.
Like, where do you think
I was
this
gonna
could
say,
go?
I was gonna say that is an interesting situation. Like, when you talk about the situation to start the group in,
Yeah.
one guy with nothing, the other homeless shelter, and then ironically, the one who ends up leaving us too soon appears to be the most stable.
Was the most stable.
Right, Scott LaRock. So Scott, in my mind, he was younger than that. I didn't realize he was 24 already, or in his early 20s.
He was in his early 20s. He passed away when he was 25. So that was before By All Means Necessary. So that was, 87.
And on our way to getting through all that stuff, the records pop. You know, like I remember I was doing. I'll tell you about afterwards when we get off. I want to tell you about a thing that I was kind of researching, and I was looking up stuff about Scott LaRock, and I found like a New York Times article about BDP after the first album, after Criminal Minded. And it was this article writing about, it's so fucking interesting. Criminal Minded had this vibe of like, the hipster writers in New York knew what was up. Like, this was a thing happening, right? But it's interesting. It's one of those early articles where when they talk about hip-hop, they still have to describe what hip-hop is.
Yeah.
Like, in the article. It's like this music that's happening
There's
in New York.
a poetry over
right, over a beat.
Right.
And this Criminal Minded album, though, is a thing. So, like, how big did that get? How big did the Criminal Minded Boogie Down Productions thing grow into? And how long did it take for Chris to actually get out of the shelter and start becoming, like, someone?
So Chris, by the time The Bridge Is Over was out, actually by the time South Bronx was out, Chris had moved out of the shelter and he was sleeping in the freezer at the record company.
Well, he moved up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. He had his own room.
He had his own room. It was freezing cold, literally, quite freezing.
But he lived in the meat freezer.
Why was there a meat freezer at the record company?
Because the record company was like a bogus record company called Rock Candy. So Rock Candy Records was actually a record company, and they made porn. So the table that they're leaning on the Criminal Minded album cover was also used to make like a porn. You know what I mean? So it's all crazy. Yeah. And the guys who they also made pillows. So you know the pillows that people. I know this sounds crazy, but this is really what was going on.
I like it.
You know the pillows, the big throw pillows that people used to buy in the corners in Harlem.
Yes.
They used to make those pillows. They would take shredded jeans and stuff them into the pillows and sell them, and so that's how they made their money off porn, pillows, and hip hop.
And this is and you guys just did an imprint of B-Boy Records.
It wasn't really an imprint. I mean.
Like they just put a label on it?
Put a label on it.
But it wasn't a real thing?
No, it wasn't a real thing.
Like
we didn't know the business like that. Scott was a social worker, you know.
So they literally pressed up the records, though?
Yeah, no, they definitely
Rock Candy Prep. But that was the actual label if there was a label.
Yes, that was the label. We had no staff with B-Boy Records.
That wasn't really a thing. There wasn't a promo team at B-Boy Records. Or
guys. Rock Candy was B-Boy.
Got it.
So but it was supposed to be a joint venture between Scott and Rock Candy, but
what does that mean?
Right,
what's a joint venture back then?
Nothing.
So who owns?
You're like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, does KRS own all that shit now?
No. Those Rock Candy owned it. Then they sold to Sugar Hill.
And they sold to Sugar.
The Criminal Minded album.
Criminal Minded album.
So when you see
KRS owns none of it. I mean, the publishing.
Publishing, maybe mechanicals or whatever, but. For the most part,
the masters are like
the masters are
who
owned.
knows where
they were owned at one point by Sugar Hill Records.
And did you ever make any money from South Bronx or anything like that?
No, I never made any money off of any of the BDP stuff that I produced.
The only time you made money was as a solo artist?
Was when I put my own.
Oh, what about shows though?
Shows I was getting, I wasn't getting a cut of it. In the beginning, I did when I was in the group.
Right.
But then when I left and came back, as the DJ, it was more salary based.
Right.
As far as like producing, like I did, I did still #1. I did a lot of those records.
Right.
But I was young. I was, 18 years old at the time, just making beats all the way up until the.
Did you do Self-Destruction?
Yeah, I produced Self-Destruction myself.
Yeah. God bless you.
So, Yeah,
crazy.
but I was young. I didn't know anything about the business.
Yeah, I've done things too, G-Nice. I mean, for example, podcast. I have an extensive record collection.
Yeah.
And
Did you produce any
no,
classic,
no.
classic hits with some of the biggest rappers at the time on one track?
No, the first time that ever been done. Stop the violence movement. Yeah, no, I didn't do that. Or I'm still number one, which is arguably up there for great Boogie Down production songs. It's pretty strong. It's a pretty great one.
Did you do the Spanish version?
No.
Chris, forget it. I was impressed.
Wait, who did that?
Chris did that.
He added the horns.
Yeah.
Yo, so how did you do? Was it Scott teaching you? How did you learn how to do that? You became a pretty savvy producer.
Watching, it's the same way that I learned how to do everything else. Like if I stand over your shoulders and watch, I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna figure it out. Trial and error. So Scott, they clearly didn't have MPC 60s when he was around, and I mastered that, like that. I remember when we were on tour, we had an opportunity to do this film. I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Woo. Oh my God! You got an appearance, right?
Yeah.
In the movie too.
So I did the beat for Jack of Spades as well.
So you did that single. By the way, that's one of my favorite. Congratulations! I have a big congratulations in order for you.
Okay.
Quick aside to Juan Epstein. Literally today, forked over the money for my jukebox that I'm buying for my new apartment.
Wow.
And I'm putting probably 10 to 15 rap records in it, I'm guessing it'll end up being. It only holds 60 records, so 10 to 15 rap records.
Okay.
And the 45 for fucking Jack of Spades, I'm still number one.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's going in there.
Well, but yeah, because the key is you got to be thinking A-side, B-side with everything.
A-side, B-side.
So I'm only trying to give up like 10 slots to shit that has a weak B-side.
Right.
I can't. It's too much of a waste.
That's a good
So
one.
I'm still number one, Jack of Spades. That's a fucking guarantee.
You can't switch them out, or
No, you can switch them out.
but it's a big to-do.
It's a big could-do, if you will. All right, so, okay, sorry, I'm getting excited and interrupting.
That's awesome, though.
So what was the step we were at just then? I had a rare brain fart.
We were talking about
Jack of Spades.
I produced Jack
so
of Spades.
I'm going to get you, sucker. Jack of Spades.
There's a track for that. Yeah.
Yes, that was my first favorite. That was like one of the first 5 rap records I was obsessed with.
Wow,
was
that's
Jack of
awesome.
Spades, and I would wait for the video, and I love the video
Video's great.
because the video incorporates the movie. It was one of those back and forth videos, and so that must have been really cool. And at the time, Keenan Ivory Wayne's popping.
Yep. he was
Starting to
popping.
really
It was
blow.
great, though. That was great. And then by the time we worked on the fourth, actually, by the time we were working on the Blueprint album, Ghetto Music, that's when I started to have that feeling of like, man, I need to do my own thing. And it was actually Phife Dawg. We all used to record at Battery Studios, so we used the same studios. And then one day Phife was like, yo, man, you need to do your own records. Like you need to do your records. And then Q-Tip said the same thing, like, dude, when you gonna work on your own music? And then I started working on my first album. Actually, I wish I had a little bit more time to like work on it because I kind of messed up myself. Like I did the track originally for like Call Me D-Nice, and at that time I was strictly about just doing beats, and that beat was done for. I did that and I'm Still Number One. Those records, when I found those samples, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
And I gave one to Chris, and then I kept the other one, and I was actually keeping Call Me D-Nice beat for Kid Rock, but he said it was too slow, so I would just.
Back then?
Yeah, he said it was too slow.
You knew him back then. That's how far
yeah,
back?
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so
From
then-
shows in Detroit? From him coming to shows?
from him coming to shows.
And
and-
just being a fan.
Oh, I didn't know it was
Yeah.
that far back.
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
So then we did. I ended up going to studio.
They call me Kid Rock. They call me Kid Rock.
Yo,
It would work. Same amount of syllables.
Hip hop's completely the game changes forever.
It's great though, man.
Call Me Nice was a great song, man.
Yeah, that record. But I put the record out. You remember back then, dude? We had no internet access.
Yeah.
You couldn't. There was no iTunes. You couldn't do a song in the studio, and then 2 days later it's on
Yeah, drop,
iTunes.
yeah.
You had to wait 4 months.
Oh yeah.
So I went to this is so crazy. I went to 98.7 Kiss FM back when it was playing like urban records, and Vinnie Brown, who was the programmer over there, I played him the acetate, and he was like, "Oh shit, like we need to cart this up now."
Yeah.
And by like the next week, it was like top 8 at 8. So it
What?
but I didn't have an album. I literally wasn't
Too
writing
fast,
anything.
yeah.
So it kind of forced Jive to like, I had to go in the studio and like do my album and like, and literally
rush.
write it, produce it, and everything in like a month and a half, which is crazy. You know,
Yeah.
like, I didn't even have the beats ready. So.
Right.
But it's, no regrets though, man. I did very well with it, and it ended up becoming a classic record. And
Do you have the 45?
do I have a 45 of Call Me D Nice? Man, there's one around. Just Blaze has it.
It's not. It's a real pain in the ass. I got to tell you, I've gotten
what,
close to getting it all, and that one is always
Where's
expensive.
Chris in all this? Is he like?
So at the time when I dropped my album, Chris and I weren't really that cool anymore.
Oh, okay.
And it was just this weird time for us because he, ultimately he didn't want me to make my own records.
Yeah.
Jive really didn't, they didn't give me that much love. My budget was super, low.
Right.
But I made something out of it.
Yeah.
And Chris
Seems
and I.
like that's your that's your style.
Yeah, it's like, man, you do well with what you have.
Yeah.
Make the best of it. You know?
So we have to go back. In losing Scott LaRock, how much of a? Well, let's start with this. What do you remember? How well do you remember losing Scott LaRock?
Oh, I think about that every day. It was a situation where it's so crazy how this works. So we, I grew up in a very rough area in the Bronx. Not too far from Yankee Stadium, and I wasn't. I lived with a cousin, and everyone that was around us, it was always women. It was young girls, and because I was kind of becoming like the neighborhood star, the young girls, even though I wasn't trying to kick it, I always had one girlfriend. The young girls would always want to hang out with me, and there was this one particular young lady, I was actually just friends with. No, never messed around with her. She had this boyfriend that was crazy, like the street dude who assumed that everybody wanted her. And one day, I didn't even know what he looked like. One day, I called her up and we were talking on the phone, and then he snatched the phone from her like, yo, I don't want anybody talking to my girl. When I see you, I'm going to kill you. So the thing is, like, back then, there were no cell phones, there was no, I just didn't know who this person was, and I didn't even think about it. Even though I grew up in the rough neighborhood, being, like, threatened like that, I never imagined anything ever happening. Literally a year later, Scott and I were on, it's not even Scott, I'm sorry. A year later, one of my good friends, he was this young hustler dude, came over to get me, which I still to this day believe he set me up. But he came over to the house like, yo, come with me, man. Let's go up, go up the street. Went up to like this High Bridge area, walking by the projects, and then all of a sudden, my friend was gone, and I was surrounded by like 5 people, and I had no idea who they were, and then the dude.
A year later,
yeah. Because at that point, now we're blowing up, so
right?
probably a lot of hate,
Right?
just because of
So they probably would have gone away had you not become anything else. There's a good chance
true.
he never comes back for it.
Yeah.
What's blowing up? Like
South Bronx.
South Bronx is
was
out.
okay, all right.
South
So
Bronx, Bridge is over.
Right,
2 singles were out then.
Okay.
So and those were monster records in New York.
Yeah, of course.
So so I really had no idea who these people were, and then he reminded me. Then they pulled the guns out. Then one dude slapped me with the pistol. So I had 2 routes to take.
Just because of that?
Yeah, just because of
The
that.
girls hanging out.
Yeah, we weren't even hanging out.
Yeah, and because probably just as much
more.
now because they wanted to fuck you up, just because you were popping.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really what it was, because I never hung out. I never hung out with her, ever.
Yeah.
So
Sheesh.
there were 2 routes to take. The first route was where I come from. Like, my friends were they were street dudes, all of them.
Yeah.
And then there was the Scott LaRock route, because I had fucking pistol in my face, what I mean? I talked to Scott.
So they let you go. So they slapped you around and that was it?
Yeah, they just slapped me once with the pistol, and then they all ran.
Okay.
So I called Scott, told him what happened, and he was like, he was very diplomatic about it. He's like, look, dude, let's come. I'm going to meet you over there. We're going to find them, and we're going to squash the beef. And his thing was, we're blowing up right now. We don't need any issues.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't go the other route. Scott came over, and it's so crazy. It would have been a peaceful mission, but there was one gentleman who was part of our crew that was security. We called him RoboCop, not the RoboCop that was on our records, but this was the first one that we called. He had a hot temper, And so while we're all talking to even one of the dudes from K7, we're all outside by the projects talking, laughing, like, all right, let's find these people, squash the beef or whatever. To the left, Daryl, the guy we called RoboCop, started beefing with some kid. And Daryl was a big dude, like almost 7 feet tall.
You were talking to the guys.
No, not talking to them yet.
We didn't see the guys.
Talking with each other only.
We were talking to each other, trying to find the guys to settle beef. But Daryl stepped off and was talking to some other guy, got into an altercation with him, slammed this kid. So I'm assuming this kid went and got his boys. So while we were all standing there, dudes went up onto the roof, and they were in the bushes, and then they literally just ambushed us, just started firing, And then we got back into the Jeep, pulled off. The bullets went past me, past the driver. Scott was in the passenger seat, shooting from the left side, and then 2 bullets hit him in the head.
So not even the guys that did the thing to you.
No.
Holy
We never knew. I don't know who did it. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It was case was never solved. So you asked me, do I remember that? Yeah, I think about that all the time.
Well, what a bizarre, horrible. I mean, and it's now. Besides all the mental pain of losing this guy who's been looking out for you, which has to be a lot because, the situation you're in, the role that Scott decided to play in your life must have made such an impact on you.
Yeah, and it's the role that I try to play in other people's lives, whether it's through DJing or like what I said about the agency. It's not really about me signing people. It's about giving someone else a shot. Not many people can even see, can even come to the types of events that I DJ at, So everything that I learned from Scott is how I try to apply that in life right now,
So did the whole thing? Where was KRS that night? First of all, he wasn't around at all?
No, he wasn't around. Scott was hanging out with our other boys and moving into his new apartment. So Chris was probably somewhere in Brooklyn with Miss Melody. So we didn't hang out with Chris
that much. You guys hung out in the Bronx more, the two of you.
Scott and I and Mick Boo, who was a part of the group, manager Mo, we all hung out with each other. Chris was in Brooklyn with Miss Melody.
It was a little bit. It was removed.
So we
even back then.
Yeah, even back then, it was always Scott and I together, rolling.
So
unless it was showtime,
Did it now? Just like when death happens in a family, it can bring families closer together. It can also do the exact opposite. How did Scott LaRock's death affect you and Chris's relationship?
So, going back to what I said about being a part of the group early on and really not having a role and how, there was a little bit of distance between Chris and I, it definitely intensified. He was somewhat distant. And it, I probably wouldn't have been a part of the BDP crew had it not been for manager Mo, who was like, no, D's in our group. He's in our crew. Chris wanted me to carry the bags after that, so he was definitely on some asshole shit.
Well, did he have resentment? Did he blame you?
I mean, of course he did. He never really said that, but he did blame me. And I think
What about RoboCop? Did he get some blame?
Well, that RoboCop at the time, he definitely. I mean, we never rocked with him again. What's so crazy about him, man? He ended up being the East Side rapist. So this dude had mad issues that we didn't even know.
You had no idea about. He was just some dude.
He was just trouble, man.
Yeah, he had
he was just
demons.
Trouble. But Chris I never had the conversation that I have with you right now, with you guys. We didn't have that conversation until 3 years ago. I never really talked to him about that night until literally 3 years ago. 3 years ago when we finally sat down during the Grammys and had dinner with each other, and then we talked about everything. So even at that point, he I could tell that probably for all those years that he definitely blamed me for and I mean, rightfully so. He wasn't there, but he should have asked, and I probably should have had that conversation with him. But
you were a kid, you didn't know.
I mean,
he was a kid.
We were all young, man. We were young. We did it at such a young age on a high level. When you think about it, man, by the time I was 20 years old, man, we'd done 2 tours with BDP.
Yeah.
I did 165 city tour with Ice Cube. I was 20 years old,
And the thing, I think back, BDP, is one of my favorite groups. You guys had the Ill live album.
Yep.
Off of just 2 albums. You know what I'm saying?
2
Like,
albums with a live
like you're
album.
already like
That's
traveling
crazy.
the world.
Yeah.
Because that live album is beyond fire, yo.
Yeah.
It is one of the sickest pieces of music
It was fun making it.
ever.
You know?
And like, you know, from what we know, hip hop wasn't as big back then as we know it now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you had to be doing some crazy shit in order to record that live album.
Yeah, we did well, man. We toured the world, man. Like the money was probably okay for Chris.
Yeah.
But when you look back, we had a big crew on the road with us.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
We had RoboCop and the new one. You know, we had Manager Mo and Mick Boo and Miss Melody, Harmony, myself, KRS.
Yeah,
like
it's
we
a
had a
lot.
crew on the road.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
guys are like Arrested Development.
Yeah, and it wasn't until
It's true.
and I think that's probably why Chris had issues with like wanting to go solo and make his own album because
Yeah.
that
Money too. You mean just making it easier?
making it easier on himself. With
I mean, he's
financially.
definitely carrying the.
Well, because he's the star. I mean, of course,
yeah,
yeah,
he's
obvi-
carrying the groove. His rhymes were like.
he's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he's dope.
I mean, so how are you guys right now? You don't
No.
seem like you're. I mean, by the way, I don't know how much you've heard the podcast. We don't focus on like nasty relationships or anything, but you don't sound like you're necessarily perfect. It sounds like you resolved some things, but you're not best friends.
No, I wouldn't say we're best friends, and I don't think we have any issues with one another. You know, I actually talk to his wife maybe 6 times a year. I'll see Chris maybe twice a year. If he's doing a show in town, I'll go and visit. But we only went to dinner that one time.
Are you tied together financially in any ways? Are there projects that you make money off of at this point? No, nothing.
Because all of the early stuff that I worked on.
And he doesn't get a piece of anything related to your Jive deal.
No.
So to happier times, talk about we got to talk about self-destruction. Sorry, my wife hates it when journalists say to someone, talk about. Let me ask a question. What was the process of making self-destruction? And I love hearing stories about the video of self-destruction.
Making self-destruction. Well, the story of it, we did a show in Nassau Coliseum. I believe it was Nassau. Someone was murdered at our concert.
Oof.
So we all decided to come together and make this record. And at the time, that was actually the first big record that I produced alone. That was actually
You did the whole beat.
Yeah, I did
There's
the whole beat,
a lot of
arrangement,
changes in
all the
that record.
changes,
Yeah.
the scratches, everything. That's my record.
Yeah.
That's me on the chorus with one of my friends. That everything about that came up with the chorus. And the crazy part is
I could have come up with a chorus if you give me the words.
Yeah.
Man, who's your friend?
Just a young lady. Well, she's older now. Her name is Lita. But yeah, that's like
Self-destruction.
yeah, it was the two of us.
Because you can hear both. You can hear that it's a man and woman together.
Yeah, we did that, layered it a couple of times, and that was it, man. And I went in the studio, man, and every day, I literally for 2 weeks slept under the mix board. I didn't go home. I was in there working on it, and I wanted a different type of record. Like no one had a song like that.
Yeah.
Like,
And did you know what it was going to be?
Like, did I think it was going to be that huge?
No, like, did you and Chris and everyone say, this is what we're going to do?
Yes.
And we'll get everyone on it.
We used to have meetings at Chris's house. We wanted people to be involved with this record. We would do meetings at Jive. So it wasn't like one day we just went into the studio. It was a process of over maybe around 3 or 4 months.
Who
to like
paid
really,
for this record?
Jive paid for it.
That's
It's
a
a
lot
Jive
of
record,
studio
yeah.
time. I know, but it
Yeah.
wasn't on an album. It was like...
No, it was just a single. Jive paid for it. It was necessary, though.
But they actually,
Right.
but for all the shit, let's be honest. I mean, Jive gets a lot of shit. And as far as the music industry goes and stories that you hear, Tribe didn't love Jive. No one loved Jive a lot of times. So you're saying that this was actually a good thing that they kind of wanted to do or on board for?
I mean, they made a lot of money off the culture of hip-hop, going back to, I mean, not even off the culture of hip-hop, let's be clear, off of black people, from Jonathan Butler all the way to Billy Joel.
Ocean.
I mean, to Billy Ocean, to, Houdini, to Millie Jackson. To pay for self-destruction is nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
But still, I got news for you. Just because people did a million dickhead things doesn't mean that they're like, you know what? We'll give you the good one. But did any money actually go? Like, did the Stop the Violence movement actually do anything?
Yeah,
I say it with
so
all due respect. You know
it
what I'm
was
saying?
almost $1 million generated back then that went to the National Urban League for
Wow, okay.
programs on on violence, you know.
And it was so dope, that logo. It was only on a few records, but like that, the logo would be on affiliated records.
It's great though, man.
It was so
great.
cool, man. It was such a cool movement.
That movement needs to start up again, man.
Yeah,
Hip hop
for
is in
real.
a terrible space right now.
I got news for you.
Not
Well,
just hip-hop.
and the world right
I
now.
mean, the world, yeah.
The world could use. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
That's
The world could use that right now.
And I do want to take this moment, as I always do, Ciph, when we have this conversation, to say we're all in the same gang. Was slept on. It was pretty damn good. As far as the follow-up to Self-Destruction would go on the West Coast version, it didn't have nearly the success of Self-Destruction. But if you go back and listen to We're All in the Same Gang, it does sort of pull off the same aesthetic musically. Like, the verses are dope. Easy goes last. Like, it does have a fucking awesome feel to it. It doesn't resonate as classic as Self-Destruction did. So you guys know exactly what you're going to try to do. So you know you're kind of making an anthem here.
We knew that. We knew we were going to make a record that matters, you know, that mattered at the time. Actually, it still matters because he still played the record and it still resonates right now. So
Who did the video again?
Lionel.
All right, but it was like that's Ralph McDaniel's
Ralph
partner,
McDaniel's,
right? Okay,
right.
right.
Yes, their crew.
It was always either Fab Five, Freddie, or Ralph McDaniel's.
Yeah,
Right.
true. Yeah, but it was great though. You know, like I said, I
It's
arranged the
amazing.
record.
How long did the video take?
We actually did the video, I think it was a couple of days because of the outside scene. PE, they weren't with us. They were on tour, so someone had to go out there to shoot them.
Right. At BAU.
No, matter of fact,
BAU?
I think actually we may have done that video in a day because I was still wearing the same clothes.
The 8-ball jacket?
No, I didn't have an 8-ball jacket.
What do you have in it? Are you wearing the black and white?
Had the Dapper Dan long
Oh, sorry, my bad.
leather trench.
My bad, and that's when you're wearing the trench. Yep.
The Dapper Dan.
This is not a visual podcast.
No,
it's
not.
it's an audio podcast. But if you would have saw the little bop and
That he
swag
still had. He still
when
had.
he was describing, not even wearing the trench, just describing
I
it.
know
He
what
was,
it felt like, man.
he went back to what year is that record from?
88.
He went back to 88 in his mind. Something crazy just now.
Yeah, that moment.
I seen Flex do that, yo.
Yo,
When Flex is talking about something he wore in 88, and all of a sudden, like, the moves come back.
You must have been geeked too. Like, you knew the video's a big deal. Everyone's in it. You produced it. You have a verse in it also.
That was my first verse rapping on,
Wow.
you know,
Oh,
on
so you
record.
had to come correct.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah, that's right.
other than the TRA to Wait, which was just a promo,
Right.
that wasn't out. That was my first record.
First record.
That was actually probably like my third verse I ever written at the time, you know?
And everyone knows you did the beat.
Yeah.
Like, everyone there, like...
That's on the back. Yeah, they all knew.
No, but I'm saying, like, people were there, like...
Oh, yeah.
You knew everybody. You knew everybody that was on the
everyone there.
record. You were there when they
were in the
recorded.
studio. Yeah, they knew. Everyone knew. And that's when I started to get, you know, props as a producer. It was a major record, man.
Yeah.
And what did it? Besides the records we already talked about, what other credits did it end up leading to for you? Like, did you do how much other stuff? Did you do any random stuff we don't know? Like you said, the Kid Rock thing.
No, I mean,
like
I worked on, like, from groups like High Five on their second album. I did one of their singles. I worked on Shelly Thunder Project. I did remixes for Latifah, for Shaba. I worked on Latifah's record on a song called The Evil That Men Do on one of her albums.
By the way, it's Chris that's wearing the crazy black and white BDP jacket.
Oh, with the stars that foolishness. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, so I worked on a lot of projects like that, and then I started my own album, and then I was always on tour. So, yeah, so I didn't.
What do you think is the best record you ever did?
Self-Destruction is by far the best record that I ever did.
You like it beat what you do you like it more than because They Call Me D Nice, let's be real, hits. It still hits. D Nice, They Call Me Nice feels great. Do you like Self-Destruction because it's more complex? There's so many pieces to it, so many samples.
I like it for that reason alone.
It builds, it goes a lot of places.
Yeah, Call Me D Nice is definitely going to be one of my favorite records. But between that, I mean, I still love Jack of Spades, man.
Woo!
Because I know what I was doing with that. You know, like I found the sample while at Studio One in London, and
Why were you in London?
I mean, we used to do a lot of shows in London.
Yeah, you guys were popping there, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we did tons of shows, tours out in London. I mean, out in Europe, and we were on tour when I did the track. Like I flew back to New York, bought an MPC 60 from Sam Ash, jumped back on the plane, and I created that beat as the BDP intro for the tour that we were on with Eric B. and Rakim, with, Kumo D. So, it was this crazy tour called the Dope Jam Tour. So that beat was originally our intro with 20,000 people, just jumping. Like Chris, all of that crisscross jump, that started with Chris. Nobody was jumping. Chris had 20,000 people every night jumping to that beat.
Well, how are you playing the beat off the MPC?
Off the MPC.
Oh my God!
So I wasn't
So it was like
using
mixed in the MPC, basically.
mixed everything in the MPC, and I wasn't using. Like I saw a picture recently. I would have turntables, but our show was off of a reel.
What?
Because Chris was always animated.
Right.
And we didn't want skips.
Oh,
skip.
wow.
So we were really about that,
Wow, that's crazy.
It was, we wanted our shit to be tight.
And you were DJ.
And I was DJing, Yep.
Man.
It's a fun time, man.
Now, could you argue, 1988, could we argue that, I'm sorry I'm going back here to self-destruction for a second, but I think that warrants a little more time. Is it the last meaningful Kumo D verse? Like, really? I just saw Kumo D. His big records were 86 and 87. I don't know if there's another big one after.
Hilarious.
Yeah, what came after that?
I don't know if anything came after that. He was so tight. That line, too, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man. Woo! That was like, I'll never forget. Like, we got to interview Kumo D one day. Like, he's one of those guys who, for some reason, the impact has just been, like, taken away over time. Like, he didn't moderate. He didn't, like, Chris and LL, they went to the next era.
Yeah.
And Kumo didn't go. He finished off right there.
He still had the ha-ha voice. That's why.
Exactly. It was a different.
The last.
First of all, I love that Tone Loc's in the video and he's not in the song. Second of all, who else was supposed to be on the song that did not show up?
Kane.
Kane, of course.
But he's in the video, but he was supposed
He's
to
in
be
the
on the
video.
song.
I mean, you're sunning him in the video. He's online. I mean, come on.
What
and then
about
Rakim, I heard a story why Rakim didn't do it.
I don't remember why Rod didn't do it. Why? Tell me.
I forget. I heard Eric B talking about it on Combat Jack, and it was just like, nah, we didn't do stuff like that. We was us. And I was like, everybody was on it. You could have went on it.
Yeah, Rocket.
But who knows why Rakim didn't do those things.
And so what about Slick Rick?
Slick Rick.
Well, Dougie was there.
Dougie was there. Dougie was on the record. I don't think Rick's
What, were they
album
bad at that point?
No, I don't know.
I was like, they split. I had a nasty split.
He's like, Dougie's going to be there. I'm not coming.
I didn't know that was a thing.
But that album wasn't out then.
What?
The Great Adventures. That was 89, right?
No.
What was that?
86.
The Great Adventures of Slick Rick?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Wasn't that 89?
No, that's the
No,
second
not
album.
89.
86.
88?
I don't know if it's 86, but I know it's not 89.
I'll tell you this. There's one thing.
It has to be 88.
Peter Rosenberg's not good at many things. There's only one thing I'm good at, and generally dates is the thing.
Yeah,
and I believe,
true. And I'll do BPMs.
I will. His site does BPMs. I believe Great Adventures is 86. Nope, it is 88.
88, okay.
But he was still popping by then. That's well after the Dougie Fresh.
Children's Story, 103.
Oh, Children's Story. That's fantastic.
103 BPMs.
Children's Story is 87. I'll tell you that right now. If Children's Story didn't come out in 1987, I'm getting up and leaving. Nope, and I'm wrong.
It's 88.
Yeah, and Children's Story is 89. I was like old by then. This is a
That's
bizarre
what I'm saying,
glitch.
like-
There's a glitch in the Matrix right now, guys. I didn't think about it being that late. I always thought of it being a little earlier.
So I don't think he was like hot at that point. I think it was
Like that record popped, the show, and Lottie Dottie pop, but he wasn't.
But he wasn't
on
he
fire.
Wasn't, the show but there were years where Doug and Rick weren't really rocking with each other.
Right. And then he comes out after with
that.
Great Adventures.
Then they started,
It's an interesting year, by the way, that his album came out at that time, 88, 89. Because, 87 was like one of the years.
Yeah.
Like, mad shit dropped in. And actually, that's probably why I said that, because my default opinion is just, if something dope happened and it was the late 80s, I kind of like, it's 87. Everything could happen in 87. All right. They Call Me D-Nice happens. You're at, what happened to your career after
there's another record, though.
What do you mean? That he
I
did?
put out another album that
record?
sold.
What's the other record with the video?
To the Rescue? About the single?
To the Rescue album.
No. What's
from the first album?
No, maybe I don't know which album it is. What's the video where you're on the street corner?
25 to Life.
25 to
Life.
Life.
That was
That
the
shit
number
was
one video
tight.
on MTV.
What's the pardon me if I'm confused about this. What is the Tretch?
Time to Flow was the Tretch record. That was on the second album.
Tretch is on it, or he wrote it, or
No, he wrote his lyrics. I wrote mine.
Oh, you.
And we were just having fun with each other.
And that was
There's something with Tretch. Did you guys use the same beat for something, or Naughty?
You think there's a Naughty D Nice connection that you're missing besides Time to Flow?
We did that record, Time to Flow.
Yeah, I
together.
think that's what it is.
That's it. But he wasn't in the video. Tommy Boy wouldn't clear him for the video.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, so then there was a version without him.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what it is. Right.
That's
what
it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah, there was a version
That's
without
what
him
it is,
because
yeah.
They wouldn't clear him for the
Okay, here we go. Got it now.
Yeah.
But what year was Time to Flow? 91? So right after they popped, like as
right
Naughty's
after
popping.
Yeah,
you were,
they wouldn't because those were my boys before the album.
How did you know them before?
Working with Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Queen
that was
Latifah
easy.
and Shakim. To this day, they're still like this.
Who are
It's
your
all family?
Okay, so obviously we could do we'll do what we perpetually do, which is not long enough time considering how amazing the guest is, but we could do 9 hours with you. But that being said, you do so much shit these days. Who are your closest hip hop friends? Who are the people you interact with the most?
Man, who do I interact the most with? Man,
I'm guessing you see Just Blaze around.
I see Just, but we don't hang out the way we should hang out.
Right.
If you include DJs, it's really the originals.
Right, you see them a lot.
We talk every day, all five of us in one
group chat?
originals group chat.
I want to get in that. I want to be a blind. I want to be invisible in the group chat.
But that's real though. So it would be those guys, Definitely Clark Kent and I, and Stretch and I talk to Clark the most, and then it would be Stretch Armstrong. And on the rap side, man,
Q-Tip.
I don't really see Tip that often.
Oh, Ciph, side note to Juan Epstein.
Yeah.
Remember the dude you saw at 7-Eleven? Yeah, he's like the biggest star on Raw now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Are you
huge.
serious?
Yeah, he's out of here.
He's on one of them little hoverboard things in Florida.
You saw him in Florida.
Oh, he's the man now?
the man.
Really?
Hopping.
Hey, what's his name again?
Enzo.
Enzo, yeah.
Yeah, back then we just called him. Remember, I was like, Enzo, what up?
Yeah.
Enzo's fucking killing it.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, he's getting cash. What about other random non-hip hop? Like, do you associate and hang in any other random celeb circles because of your sort of Hollywood and politic connects?
I hang with Usher and this guy Jaha. Common's my guy. That's hip hop. Keep thinking about
He's
Common.
Hollywood. I know. What Common?
Hollywood, man. But no, Common is my guy. That's how I got one of the photographs of him at the Oscars. They were all like, "Dude, we want you to document."
Oh, I forgot about that picture. That picture's made, dude.
Yeah,
that picture was
man.
a big deal.
So I hang out with people like that. But other than that, man, I'm really just, if I'm not DJing, I'm usually in front of my computer working out some deals, but I also hang out with a lot of executives. I'm really about the executive life, man. One of my.
Well, where do you want it to go? Go ahead. Sorry, finish that.
Yeah, one of my good friends. He's the CMO of Mort Hennessy. Hang with him. Because I'm always trying to figure out new opportunities, new deals. And then a lot of my really close friends are all finance guys. Not too much hip hop, man.
Why did it end up being people like finance guys? Besides the fact that you want to get money, we understand that part.
It's not even about that. It's the guys that I find that I have the most in common with. I don't listen to music at all. I've never heard your morning show.
Oh God!
Well, it's not music. It's crap.
Oh shit!
You meant me specifically?
No. Joe Button Joe ass.
Because of the DJing, and constantly listening to music all day.
Yeah.
I don't listen to radio at all.
Right.
I don't even talk music with people. None of that shit. I'm literally about politics. I hang out with my finance dudes, but we'll do cool shit though. We'll go to a cigar bar, and we'll smoke and drink.
Are you able to DJ now in settings where the kind of events you can kill without having to know what record literally started popping that week, or are you still up on that, or are you okay
I'm still
being
up on that?
So even if a record pops on Monday,
it may take me by 2 Mondays later.
Okay. So you're right, but there's a difference between that, right?
Yes.
That's the thing about private events. At a private event, you don't have to play the record that dropped Monday. If you're at a kind of pop-in hood club spot, shit these days drops on Monday and you're playing Thursday, you have to play that record. So why I will never be able to do that ever again, bro.
So this is why I work a lot, and I learned this from Noah Temperberg that owns Marquee and all these clubs. You know, Noah always told me, like, dude, you have to do clubs, even if the money is much lower. You have to do clubs because you need to know what's hot,
Right.
and that's what keeps my private events going. Because private events, some people think that all you have to do is just play classics at private events. No, these motherfuckers that work for Hillary or whomever, they know what's out. They know what's hot.
And once they get a little tipsy,
yeah, that's
they
when
want
you gotta
Panda.
go in. They want the records.
No, it's true.
In the beginning, yeah, they want to feel sexy as you're coming in.
But the
walking
last
in,
45
But
minutes
the
to an
last
hour, yeah, you got to hit
go
it.
in,
Yeah.
and then that makes them go crazy, and
Yeah.
then I'm doing the other events too. You know, like, so it's. I mean, I did an event. One of my favorite events was for President Obama in Martha's Vineyard. It was 50 people.
oh lordy da.
Fuck you, man.
50
That's
people, and I was
crazy.
lucky enough to be a guest as well and have dinner there, and it was great, you know. And when
That's
I started
insane,
DJing,
bro.
I started with the classics, but you know the kids were there too, and they're like, "Yo, can you play?"
Did Barack dance?
Like what? Like how long ago was this?
This was last August.
Like what was the jam? Like what was the hot?
Like, were you playing Bobby Shmurda? You play Shmoney Dance?
I played that.
You don't worry about lyrics.
No. I do worry about lyrics, but
For
I always
certain-
play the clean version.
I'm not even saying
and
curses.
even if it-
Just a
Yeah, even if, I know those two buttons on Serato, where
Yeah.
if it's something that's a little suspect to me, I'll still reverse it.
right.
Because you're dealing with politics. Like,
Yeah.
the last thing you need is the president standing next to you.
Right, and you're
you
playing
got
like-
some crazy
yeah.
Bobby Shmurda.
I'm a
Hit
Shmoney
up
Dance on
my-
that pussy hoe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I do worry about those. And to be honest with you, I actually didn't play that record. I played the instrumental, and I dropped Marvin Gaye on top of it, Sexual Healing a cappella on top of it, and let it ride like that.
Slick.
So the beat was fresh for the
And it
young
worked.
kids.
Right, and they got to hear
the
that.
beat's all you really need too.
Yeah.
Honestly,
that's it.
yeah, no disrespect, but that's true.
No, I'm just saying it's
so
a
I would
hot
do.
beat.
But the other record that was crazy was that damn dance. That
Millie Rock?
no, no,
Watch me now.
no. Wait, which one?
Watch me whip.
Yeah,
Watch
the
Me
Nene
Nay Nay.
record. So that was like the one record that probably
Everyone wanted to hear it.
everyone.
What
just
did
killed.
the president dance?
Yeah, he danced with his family.
But just like light. He doesn't
Like dancing. But
What
you
is
know,
that event?
It's just a private event. There was no real celebration. It was just a private event.
Rich people who love the
Getting
president,
together,
getting together,
having
and
fun,
making them
watching
feel
the news
good.
on vacation, and you know that was it.
You get those type of calls all the time.
I get those calls.
those-
You know, I DJ'd the inaugural ball for
Yeah.
him. You know, I DJ now for Hillary and her team. Just played an event for them 3 days ago. Oh yeah, I did that too last weekend.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Forgot about that. But
What-
yeah, you know, so I get
What an
those,
interesting run it is, though, man. You have a very unique run in hip hop.
No, it is. Trust me, I recognize this, and I appreciate it. You know, like it's coming from hip hop as a beatbox to now where I've DJ'd for presidents and for Clinton, Bill Clinton, to
Presidents.
to Barack,
No, I'm aware.
Plural.
No, I heard.
to hopefully it'll be a third one. You know what I mean? And it's
Would
amazing.
you DJ for Republicans?
I actually DJ'd for Mitt Romney last November.
I would have. Romney's fine. I would have handled a Romney bit.
Yeah, no, I did that.
I
I
would've
mean,
been-
they were
whatever.
actually fun.
Yeah. No. I would guarantee
Well, Ciph,
they're fun.
Ciph,
They're
you would
nutsos.
Ciph would DJ for Hitler, but the difference is, but the Romney in retrospect, what we're looking at now, DJing for Romney's like DJing for fucking Martin Luther King.
Yo, DJing for Romney, like yeah.
What?
Those dudes were awesome. Romney threw Bain Capital through an event, had me open up for Nile Rodgers in Nantucket,
That's dope.
and it was a '70s disco theme, and they were all me. I was just dressed. I wasn't wearing all that craziness. If you're from that era and you made music in the '80s, like I can't wear a rope chain.
Right,
man.
nah.
Somebody be like, "Yo, did you pull that out of your closet?"
Yeah,
Like,
That's a really good point. You can't wear a costume
No.
of the shit you live
Yeah,
through.
that you wore actually.
Even though you look young enough that you could pull it off,
No.
you lived through it. You
I
can't.
lived through it. I can't do it, man. So, but those dudes, they partied hard, man.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I was just telling someone this story last night. I also DJ for like the Met, like some of the big Met events.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, older dude, came and he walked over the barricade and came over to me and was like, young man, you made me feel like I was 17 again. And
Yeah.
he pulled out like $2,000 cash. And I just, held him back. Like, no, Memorial Sloan Kettering actually paid me. And I was like, they were generous. So he put his money back and he was like, here's my card. You ever need me, you can just give me a call. And he walked off. And then all these people swarmed me. Like, what did he say? What did he say? I was like, just gave me his card. Like, I made him feel good. Do you know who that was? I was like, no. She was like, oh, that was David Koch, one of the Koch brothers.
Oh, my God.
So all of the people that I don't like, I've actually rocked with.
Yeah, but like I get along with a lot of people I don't agree with politically.
Yeah, I don't agree with them, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people are people, and then when they go and grandstand is a whole different thing.
Yes, I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying?
But the Koch brothers, people who they define as the backbone of bad.
I get
it's
it.
kind of crazy.
That's
crazy. Mind blowing.
I get it,
backbone
but
of bad, and that's part of and this is all ego. Why I'm glad that I'm not the type of DJ. I never take money from people, even if someone comes to the booth and I don't want it. Like I'm like, nah, dude, I'm good. I just don't want to seem like that type of Like you know how it is, man. Both of you. Like I don't want to feel like a court jester. It's like,
of course.
No, see, I'm funny though. I'll take it. I'll take the 20 and like put it on my forehead and be like, I just got $20 for this. Like I make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Not $2,000 I wouldn't take because then
No, $2,000 I take. That's the difference.
no,
$2,000
but
I take.
it would get really weird.
yeah, it just felt weird to me.
It would
Yeah, that
get
is
weird.
I don't even know what
Felt
that means.
Oh,
weird
I
to
gave
me.
that guy $2,000. It would be very weird.
Yeah, it felt like no disrespect to the wedding DJs, but like it made me feel like that. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man.
Yeah, it's
Will
not-
you do? But you will do weddings, right, for friends?
Yeah, I just did one over the weekend.
My man,
in
how
New
long
Orleans.
was this weekend you just had? Like,
Yo, dude,
weekend
I
is 2 days. This guy has 9
Yo, I
weeks.
get why you don't want to listen to music, bro.
No,
You
I'm
DJ a
serious.
fucking lot, man.
I DJ just in New Orleans the weekend, and remember, like Essence Fest, man. In 4 days, I had 9 events.
Well, listen, I got bad news. When I googled you earlier. By the way, there's not a you stay relatively private. Like there's not, considering how well known you are as the DJ of every event that's cool. There's not a shitload out about you, right? When you Google around. But I have bad news. I did read a blog post that the headline was misspelled, so I'm pretty sure they're reliable. But bad news, they said you're broke. So it's unfortunate that the money's not going well.
Man.
I know. I mean, if you could try to get some gigs, though, I really wish you the
It's
best with it.
unfortunate, man.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 daughters, one 19, and then I have one that's she'll be 5 next month.
Woo! Back in the game a second time.
Second time, man. Still works, man.
Your junk still works. Good news, by the way.
Still works.
Hey, this has been a real pleasure, man.
Nah, this was great, man. Seriously, you two are like, I really like appreciated you just calling, reaching out, man. Like,
Well, I was like, we've never had this
I
guy.
can't tell you something you won't appreciate. We've probably had you on our mind for years.
But you know that
And-
before we got that email a couple weeks ago, I'd already been hitting him.
Oh, okay.
And then and then who do we hear from? Who is that guy?
It's Parker.
Kevin Parker? Is Kevin?
I think it's Kevin Parker.
Well, we're giving a terrible shout out right
Yeah.
now. Some guy who randomly emailed us, and I'm being a real dick. Let me look him up right now.
wow, that's cool, man.
Wait,
And
how
he,
did you-
he reached out and was like, but no, then that just reminded me that I
Oh,
had
they
hit
hit
him
him.
in a few
He
weeks.
did. Like,
So I just hit him again, was like,
yeah,
yo.
Kevin Parker in L.A.
Wow, that's awesome.
And anyway, so yeah, I'm really glad we got to do this, and hopefully some interesting stuff happened. Now, by the way, the guy I work with, Ryan Hurley, left this for you.
Oh, did he?
Yes, you were once listening to the radio as Michael and Don were talking about how they call his son D Nice,
right.
and he calls him D Nice because he's a fan of yours. So apparently, either someone told you about it, and you hit him up and were like, "Yo, that's cool." And so he left this picture and wanted you to autograph it to his son D Nice from D Nice. By the way, it must be funny for you too because there's so many people now who have the nickname D Nice because of you.
Wow.
Like you have one of those names that if you know someone with a D name and you don't have a nickname for them,
You call him D Nice?
yeah, D Nice is in my caliber.
Two D Nice from D Nice.
Yeah. 2
That's what he wants, yeah.
He left the full instructions.
His name
I
is
respect
Derek
it.
as well?
His name's
His
Derek, but
son's
spelled
Derek, yeah.
different. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's why
they
he
call him D Nice.
Right, because the mom wanted to name him Derek, so they did, but his nickname for him is D Nice. He said you actually walked into a store he worked at when he was like 20 years old, and he geeked out. I was thinking it must be interesting too. Not only does did D Nice have a rap his own rap career in BDP, and now he DJs for like these super important things. But when you're DJing gigs and stuff, you can be recognized all the time, but you also live this sort of celebrity life where you can also, I'm guessing, roll low key for a major part of the time.
I mean, I don't feel like I'm a celebrity, man. I honestly do feel like I'm just doing a job that I love. You know,
Yeah,
and
me
people,
too.
yeah, that's it. It's like, I love it. I don't have a publicist. With all the gigs that I do, I have no publicist. That's why you don't read anything about me. I'm flying below the radar, and I'm happy with it.
And still get to have everything, get to have the whole life without having the bullshit.
Yep.
Ciph, before we wrap up here, how many did you have to have a lot of annoying conversations about me last week?
No, actually, people were just saying, your boy Rosenberg's on the news or whatever.
But they didn't. But it wasn't like it wasn't something. I guess the annoying situations are more like when people just randomly say, "Where's Rosenberg?"
Well, yeah. Well, what do you mean, like cop shit?
Yeah, like you didn't have anyone come at you and say anything crazy.
Nah, I was no.
Checked out.
No, it's just I can't even. I'm happy I'm not on the radio
To deal with right now.
Yeah, because it's funny. Last one up we did, we kind of made a reference to it, and then 2 people got murdered right after that, and then some more crazy shit happened. Then all the cops got murdered.
I know.
I'm happy that I don't have to talk about this. I would cry every day. I would cry every day if I had to talk on a morning radio show like you do.
We've like even today actually, we got really upset. Like I was having fun with the Melania Trump thing with her plagiarizing, and then I got like sad. And I was like, this is bad, though. This is a distraction.
Bad,
There's
man.
other shit going on that's worse than this. Like,
it's bad. And, like, the protests and, like...
the things that people were saying yesterday on TV about Obama.
I saw a headline. I was in the Comedy Cell last night. I come upstairs. The convention's on. The sound is off, so I just read it. It says, I don't know who said it, but it says, someone says Black Lives Matters movement is anarchy. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? I was talking to someone about this. I can't say who it was because he asked me not to say, but there's just people, like, if you don't get Black Lives Matter, you just don't think black people are people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's black people in the world, but you don't consider them people. If you're not just getting all lives do matter.
Right.
Correct. That is 100% correct.
It's like that goes without saying. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. That's a given. That is not the opposition to Black Lives Matter.
But there's 2 things. Yes, what you're saying is true, but I would like to believe there's also just a lot of people who are so unaware of like racism and white supremacy and they don't realize it means Black Lives Matter too. They don't. They're so dumb.
It's beyond not understanding. They don't even consider it. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I know. No, well, but isn't that also media training? Haven't they also been now? They're trying to push everyone into a side. They're like, hey, are you Black Lives Matter or are you cops?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I am going to be on both. Thank you very much. I'm going to be Mr. Black Lives Matter, and I'm going to be Mr. Appreciative of when the police do their job well. And if I have a problem, guess who I'm calling? The police. Okay?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I am still Captain Black Lives Matter. Don't try to push me to fucking choose as part of this bullshit war.
Don't fucking. That's divide and conquer, man.
And Ciph, when I went on, so after the whole thing happened, I felt,
yeah, because that snippet was just you against cops,
right? So I didn't get as much hate as you would think, though, right? People actually heard the words I said. It was a really crazy week, and I put this one post up this weekend saying that anyone who would ever attempt to harm innocent police officers who are trying to help us, I'm like, you're a terrorist. I don't give a shit what you're associated with. Anyone who would attack the police is attacking all of us. That's the only way I see it. I'm sorry. That's it. Regardless of anything. And dude, I had comments from people being happy that police got shot. Like a lot of them.
I can't stand.
And I was just like,
nobody should get shot.
Like on every side, no matter what I post. This is why I'm done posting. No matter what I post, people say horrible shit.
The way I'm saying people are ignorant towards Black Lives Matter, maybe I'm ignorant to how bad people think of cops. How badly people think of cops. You know what I'm saying? I have to admit I must be on the other side of ignorance.
Of course, but here's the one thing. I'll end it right here. The problem is where it starts is the lack of understanding of fucking race in this country. The president wanted to say this the other day, but he couldn't say it. People are scared of black people. White people are scared of black people. Cops are scared of black people. Guess what? Black people are scared of black people. It's been indoctrinated into us for fucking 400 years. And if we don't start at that beginning point of that we have racial issues
I'm not
here,
scared. Yes,
you
you
are.
Just
And
say you
we're
are.
watching it. We're watching it play out. If you don't start there, then we can't get to why the people hate the police. That's where it starts, and we have to. God, we just got really too deep. Anyways, D-Nice, I love you. Thank you for doing this.
Positive energy. I love you guys. I hope you love me too. If you don't, I still love you.
Love, bro.
Love, man. Peace.